Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. And who've we got this week? We've got Josh.
Hello.
We've got Jason.
Hello.
And we've got Joe from Upper Deck.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing, sir? You all right?
Doing well, doing great. Just looking at myself, I look like I fell asleep on the beach, but being an Irish guy, I'm either pale or burnt. So I'm ready to roll. I'm happy to be here. Hello, Ian, Josh, and Jason.
Good to see you, Joe.
This is interesting. You see, now you obviously live in a very sunny state. You know, San Diego. If I've never been there. In my mind, it's like that all year round. And, you know, so therefore you could be that color in December. Is this the truth of things, or is this just TV?
Well, you know, I only just arrived here about 2.5 years ago, but I am picking things up. So I've heard over time little tidbits, something being that around Christmas time, apparently this is yearly about the warmest part of the map in America every year.
Wow.
Which I don't know if that's true or not. I'm thinking Miami, but no slight to San Diego. I like it out here. I think every August or September we deal with something called the Santa Ana winds. And it's just this wind current, air current that brings like maybe 90-degree heat. But other than that, it's very tolerable. Being near the beach, there's some cloudy mornings, but I can't complain because it's always worse elsewhere, but it is pretty good out here. So I can't complain.
You are looking pretty healthy, I have to say. You're looking like you've just stepped out of a Calvin Klein advert, quite frankly.
Oh,
so we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Thank you.
So we are. Well, we've mentioned it already. San Diego. I want to talk. Well, I want to talk about loads of stuff. But I'm going to start by asking you, how many times have you been to the San Diego Comic-Con? Because it didn't look like it was your first rodeo.
Oh, this is my third straight year, and it's all been because of the company or on behalf of the company this year with help from the company. So this was a very enjoyable time, and it's my fourth overall. I actually traveled to New York Comic-Con with Grant last fall, which was quite an experience with its own stories. I'll let him tell them if there's ever an opportunity. But yeah, this was not my first rodeo. Just to kind of jump into that and lead into something else, I was part of a group of lunatics who camped out for Hall H on Saturday for the Marvel panel. But that's not to take anything away from, you know, the other panelists, the other companies, you know, who had panels that day. But everyone kind of knows if you're going to Comic-Con and you want to view any panels, there is a lot of, I guess you could say, diehards that will figure out a way to hold a line, split some shifts, work some shifts with others, and get your way in. So yeah, I had the experience of being there, doing that. I feel like I'm just taking this question and running with it for 5 minutes.
This is exactly what I wanted you to do, because I want to hear all about this.
So yeah, as far as, you know, this particular licensor, which would relate to this particular show, the first panel that Kevin Feige, you know, had come out was the cast of the next Captain America movie. And so, you know, we had Anthony Mackie, we had, you know, Giancarlo Esposito, just the whole way down. We had the gentleman playing the leader. But then we
Tim
got
Blake Nelson.
Thank you. And then we got to see some exclusive footage of some new updated trailer for it. So that was exciting. Right after that, they brought out the Thunderbolts. By the way, this whole panel takes about an hour, so it's very much like a rapid fire, you know, bring everyone out. But the crowd noise just stays constant. And, you know, if any of you are wrestling fans, you know, there were some loud pops throughout the night. But right after that, the Thunderbolts came out, the whole cast. They did some quick question and answer. Q&A. They did that with the Cap America cast. Then we saw a scene, an unreleased scene, some footage from that movie. Then they shuffled everybody out, and then they shuffled in. Well, it was interesting because Kevin Feige would allude to certain things, and then at the end of each panel, each segment, he would say, "Oh, by the way," and then he brought out Harrison Ford for Captain America movie, and then everyone kind of there was a pop for that, and then
I'm sure.
you know, and he mentioned he kept something from the crowd about the Thunderbolts, and then pretty soon he was like, "Oh, but by the way, here they are," and mainly for Fantastic Four, he was telling everybody, which I should back up. Fantastic Four was next after the Thunderbolts. He said, "Sorry, everybody's out in England. They're starting filming." And he said, "But I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Come on out, everybody." They're able to fly back real quick, to pop in. So we saw the cast. And that was rather quick. We saw a little video segment of what might or might not be included or just released as promo for that. And then right after that, it was the announcement that the Russo brothers were coming back to take on the next two Avengers movies. So there was a pop for that, but as diehard fans, there was sort of like I wouldn't say a split, but there were people who were like, "Wow, I was really looking forward to a bit of lesser known people kind of taking something." But as always, you will always have opinions one way or another. After that was finally the Robert Downey Jr. announcement. And so that was the loudest pop of the night. I follow forums, I follow Facebook groups, plug, no plug, but yeah, so I've been reading up. I talk with, colleagues, I talk with coworkers, I talk with friends, and yeah, so I know there are people who are excited. There are people who are interested how this is going to play out. And then there are people who might be a bit more reluctant to necessarily sit down and enjoy the movie. But as with the self-fulfilling prophecy, if you're about to head out to a party and you expect to have a bad time, chances are you're about to have a bad time. So
yes.
I think if we keep an open mind for the decisions that have been made, and at the end of it, I don't represent Marvel in saying this, but at the end of it, I could see, the business decisions behind it. The previous two were billion-dollar movies, like at the pace that things are moving or at the pace that society overlapping with, media and movies and major films, what decisions did they feel they might need to have to make in order to kind of bring this back to ensuring the next two are billion-dollar movies. So again, I don't have any inside information, but I was sitting fairly close. As a long-winded response, but yeah, that is the wrap up to, oh, I should mention, crazy, I almost forgot actually. I was walking through Artist Alley on Sunday. The first time all weekend I actually had a moment while I was down there to kind of walk around because the mission was Hall H this year. And I passed Ron Lim and I walked up and I introduced myself and I said, I'm big fan. I growing up, my brothers and I, we read the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, we like Infinity Crusade, we were hooked in. And I glanced around his table. He had some books, original art you could thumb through, and then I saw a note right in front of it, right next to the binder that said commissions. And I said, "Oh my God, like what?" So I looked. I didn't even want to look, but I glanced and I said, "That's actually kind of affordable." And it said headshot. And I was like, "Oh boy, I'm a big fan." I didn't say any of this to the man because I didn't want to make it sound.
You're in a dialogue, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And then I saw, the price went up if it was full body. So I was like, wow. So I introduced myself. I thanked him for everything he's done for the industry. And I just said, it's 2:30. What time are you here today? And he said, we're here till close 5 o'clock on a Sunday. So I said, okay, I'll come back when the crowd thins out a little bit. And so I walked around for about an hour and a half, and I was like, well, it might have been about an hour. I was just thinking, if I did, who would I have him draw? Because that's the decision. No matter who you're meeting, that you're a fan of, illustrator wise, artist wise, you know, it's always kind of like, and then there's always that side note, that inner dialogue of like, well, I want to make it fun for them and interesting. Like, who's somebody that they wish they drew more, or, you know, if, but I don't necessarily have the wall space or the pocketbook or whatever to receive a character I wasn't absolutely ready and willing to pay for. So I came back around 3:30, about an hour and a half left. Part of me was just worried that wasn't enough time. Maybe he was already working on something. So I came back, I said, "Hey, Ron, is it too late for a headshot commission?" And he said, no, not at all. You know, who are you thinking? I was like, that's the problem. I walked around an hour and a half and I still have no idea. I said, you know, you know, I think you do a great Silver Surfer, a great Thanos, a great Galactus, a great Nova. But then there's also characters that aren't cosmic that, you know, I think you did really well with in Infinity War and whatnot. And so we were talking, and the whole time I'm like, this is less and less time for him to work, and I don't know how fast he works. So I'm like, oh, I got to make a decision. So based on favorite characters of mine that seem to fit a purple theme, I'll explain that some other time, but I chose Galactus. And I can't believe that I almost forgot to show this or even mention it, but I got a
Nice.
That's amazing.
9x12 of Galactus. I'm trying to get it without a glare. I'll go.
No, we can see that. We can see that. That's beautiful.
That's really good.
And from the trailer or whatever leaked from Comic-Con, you know, but I think he did really well. So
yeah.
Wow.
It's something I actually just brought out for the purpose of showing here, but it's going right back between, you know, two heavy books and protected until I get it framed. So
wow, thank you. Oh, that's brilliant. I love that.
That's awesome.
Thank you. And again, I feel like I've been going for 22 minutes here. So please.
You made the right decision. I think you made the right decision.
Yeah. He as an aside, a couple of years ago, one of the sketch artists, friends of the show, made some sketch cards for the Facebook group MCCW, and he did them and then said, "Oh, I've done these," and we were like, "Okay, brilliant." And one of the guys in the group at the time, he's since left, knows Ron Lim. So, and of course, we were basically saying, look, you know, those sketch cards, we'll give them for free to any artist who's worked on an official Marvel set. And of course, you know, Ron definitely falls into that category. So Ron did some private commissions, sketch cards, on the MCCW stock. And of course, I got a black cat.
Well, of course, I'm happy to hear that.
I also got a Captain America for my buddy Pankit as well. So I've got two done. But yeah, no, those are quite something. So it's wonderful to see him back on a card set after all this time, because I think is it Platinum? Yeah, Platinum.
Yeah,
must be the first card set he's been on in. Because I don't think he did anything for the early Upper Deck Masterpieces set in 2007. I don't think he was on that in any capacity as a sketch card artist. So I
don't believe so.
I think this might be his first Marvel card work.
And has always done one of the best Silver Surfers. He's absolute Silver Surfer is just so on point.
Yeah.
Thank you. And part of me was thinking, you know, as a headshot, like as a full body, absolutely. But like as a headshot, I started thinking, and who would be the most identifiable, you know, as a headshot? That's kind of what went into Galactus too. It's funny, I shared the photo with a group chat that I had with my siblings and my mom, and she mentioned something about, you know, interesting looking Frankenstein, and I'm like, never mind, you know, with the
cyborg
coming out of I was like, sure, thank you.
Oh mom.
Well, now you know what to get done next time. Next time you see him or get an opportunity, the Surfer, to go with the Galactus.
Oh, absolutely.
I honestly thought you were going to say Frankenstein there, Josh, for some reason. I don't know why. Get the old Universal monsters.
Monsterverse.
He would do the Universal monsters. And then some. Can you imagine him doing that lineup?
I've actually wanted to have a Godzilla done by a few different artists. I've almost, because I've been such growing up timeline wise, that's right when I was growing up, all those films. To do like a battle card, you know, Godzilla versus Rodan or something like that. Or
No, I'd love that. I think some of the James Whale ones, like Wolfman and Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein and that lot. You know, Boris Karloff, the Mummy.
Yeah.
He'd absolutely knock those out of the park. Mind you, most of the artists did. So anyway, I know you're not allowed to. No, this is no. Hang on, I'm not sure if that's the right way of saying it, but I think you guys can privately buy Upper Deck product, can't you? You just can't.
That's correct.
Yeah, so you can go into a store and buy it.
Correct.
Yeah.
We don't. We get an employee exclusive card every quarter. That is we can keep or sell. Working there, we also get one free pack of a random product every now and then that we cannot sell. We do not get product for free nor at a discount. So we have to find it out in the wild currently, but properly across the board, that is the policy.
Okay, good. Okay. If someone had happened to have pulled a creator art variant of Galactus by Ron Lim in his box of Marvel Platinum, could that be the kind of thing that could be gifted to an Upper Deck employee to put with his Galactus headshot?
I mean, I believe we are able to, you know, receive said gift hypothetically, or even offer to pay for it because said person might feel a bit comfortable.
Yes. Okay. So your legal team might be listening to this thinking, "Oh fuck." If a hook comes on and pulls you off from the side, we know it's your legal team, just at the side. Right. Well, let's move on from that slightly uncomfortable segue. I'm gonna share screen because I've got an image on my screen that just quite frankly brings me happiness when I push the actual button. Because this is what we're going to talk about today.
There we go.
Nice.
So X-Men 97. Now every year I know that Upper Deck have a pretty, I mean, it's your home turf, isn't it? It's like a home game for you guys. San Diego Comic-Con. You have a massive booth at Upper Deck showing off all your entertainment product. Could be legendary. I think the other year there was a big Bond setup with a car. I think there's been all sorts of stuff going on. And this year you had a couple of things going on. Now, I've always made it a point to acquire and collect San Diego exclusives that Upper Deck have put out. So I've got back in from 2017, 2018, you did these oversized promos for EPAC, but they had Fleer Ultra Spider-Man art. And some of the artists were there at the con who do an hour of signing on the booth. So I've got some of those, and Fleer Ultra X-Men as well. And I've got some of the Disney Plus sets that you did, plus the Upper Deck Gallery set. And so this year, given a lot of people's feels about the 90s X-Men series and the return of it to Disney Plus, this announcement drops on the Upper Deck Facebook page and so other social channels probably about 2 weeks before the con. It's maybe about the 11th or something like that, July, that there's going to be a convention exclusive, and in typical fashion, it's the whole set in one pack. You know, small set, 15 cards, is it, I believe?
15 for the base. The additional is the chase.
That's right. So 15. So basically, you're one and done if you're just collecting the base, but there's other stuff, so we'll come and talk about that.
Sure.
I'm particularly excited from San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Marvel set point of view. But that's nothing compared to the level of frenzy I've seen online from people since this was announced. Like, oh, is anyone going? Oh, can you pick me up a pack? Can you pick me up 5 packs? Can you pick me up 20 packs? Can you pick me up a whole case? Someone was like, can you just reverse a truck? Just and just take them all away and bring them to me. And with the quantities I've seen some people have, I think they almost might have done that. So I'm going to caveat this by saying I'm a little bit older than a lot of the people who are really nostalgic about this series, because by the time the X-Men animated series started, I'd left college. You know, I was working in London, so I literally didn't see it because I don't even know if it was broadcast in the UK, and if it was broadcast on a channel probably aimed at younger folks, on a Saturday morning.
Oh, you got it.
You know,
hit
and
it.
when you're in your early mid-20s living in London, Saturday mornings don't exist.
Right.
Yeah, because you've
Right.
usually
Yes.
been up pretty late on the Friday night.
Yeah.
So I missed it completely. But I know a lot of people are really into it. Now, I will say, I've never seen an episode of the original 90s show, but I have now watched, in preparation for this, I didn't manage to get through it all. I've watched 3 of the episodes. So I'm up to the end of episode 3 of X-Men 97, of
Nice.
however many there are. 8, 9, I think. And
Yeah.
it's really good.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
good. I'm really
It's
enjoying it.
awesome.
And you know what?
It's
I can't say I'm a massive fan of the animation, but the story is brilliant.
mhm.
It's really cool. So,
It is.
but these guys, I think, have seen all of it. And Joe, you've probably like watched it 500 times in preparation for this set. So I'm going to stop talking. I want you to tell me when you first knew this was going to happen.
Wow. Wow. There's so many things to talk about, so many things to touch on. So the team, when the news came that I had the gift and or the pressure and or the pleasure of creating an exclusive trading card product for San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, definitely pressure.
Yeah, right.
Definitely pressure.
Right.
I'd have been shaken.
Yeah. So I was like, oh wow. Thankfully, I'm a part of a good team. I'm also parts of other good teams. What I mean by that is when a particular product with a particular licensor, let's say it belongs to a particular brand, there might be a particular person in that department I work with. So not to scramble everybody's brains, but each team for every product is slightly different many times. Well, our brand team member from the brand department, Diego, had it brewing to sync the product with the 97 show release. And we were flexible with Marvel to make that happen. So it just made sense. So what is, and also during any pause, I'm trying to think if that's appropriate to share or not, or where the borderlines are drawn. Again, I also want to say I'm not uncomfortable. I'm very comfortable sitting here. I'm aware of what to say and what not to share. Many times as a licensor working with Marvel, Marvel will provide what's called a style guide to their licensing partners.
Right.
And many times it benefits their partners if they have at least a glimpse of what might be coming, in official high resolution files. The hot topic might get the same style guide and you see a lot of artwork on a lot of clothing, a lot of t-shirts,
Yep.
and so we kind of receive the same type of stuff. When we make full-blown core products, we usually have to wait to receive the images, the photo files from the licensor. Well, in this case, for this situation, this IP, we received the style guides for the show ahead of time. And I copied them, moved them into my folder, safe and sound. And then I got news of this. So there were a few options, but based on how small the budget could be for a convention exclusive, we're not going to create a core product and expect to get through. Because, and something else I want to touch on, it doesn't say San Diego Comic-Con exclusive for a couple of reasons. It says convention exclusive now because if it doesn't sell out, it allows us to sell it at other conventions. Yeah. Also, the cost to include the official logo with the Comic-Con and everything like that also costs additional funds and some extra money.
Charge you for that? Wow. Okay.
And so that was the addition or the decision behind that, but it also allowed us the opportunity to kind of span things out. Just in case it didn't sell out. I think this product was a perfect marriage of the release of the show, the hype of the show before the release, but also, Wolverine being a very popular character across the board with, Deadpool and Wolverine coming out and with Comic-Con coming around. I mean, Upper Deck has a very strategic, unique placement on the show floor at Comic-Con, as you can see, booth 307. But
Yeah.
essentially on the furthest west side, we're like right inside door A, and that's essentially where the bulk of the traffic comes walking up and walking into the facility. So the convention center. So all of this just seemed to make sense. I was looking back through the style guide again. As a product manager, it's difficult to describe what I do without feeling like I'm slighting anybody else in their work too. I can't say I built the set because every person in every department who had a hand in this set essentially helped to build the set.
Sure.
I can't say I developed it because of the same reasons, but more so it's kind of like the architect to create the blueprint of what the vision is and what the product needs to be and how to create it in order to at the end of it all match the vision or the idea behind it. So product managers, we're coming up with theming, we're coming up with subset sizes, insert names, insert sizes, design ideas. Although, we do allow the opportunity for other creative people in other departments to have some fun. So to answer your question from a few minutes back, this seemed like a no-brainer. It was something that the team and I felt was just a no-brainer, a slam dunk, not to use a sports reference, but and it just seemed to work out timing-wise to coincide with everything. It's Comic-Con. People love the X-Men. If we're going to showcase or feature any title from the comic book, publishing universe of Marvel, what better at this moment in time in society with the storytelling through films and through, television and streaming. But yeah, so in these style guides, real quickly, we're given limited assets, something to get going. There's also other types of art in there too. But I noticed that there were 2 images of each character. There's kind of an action pose and then a static pose. And so actually, the head of our entertainment design department, Krista, created the card design for these cards. And and we all think she did a great job. But there were elements of the style guide. If you look on the card back, and actually I have an example.
Oh, do you? Well, I was about to show the fronts. I don't have the backs.
Thank you.
I was about to show the fronts, but let me go to you so we can see.
Thank you. This is borrowed from our library, so it will be returning. There we go.
There he is.
We'll be returning Monday, but as you can see, there's kind of the action shot of Cyclops here.
Yeah.
And then when you flip it over, it's kind of like the static, stoic.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I like that.
Yeah.
So and we were able to, again, with very limited assets, find a home for both poses. So, not everyone is going to be like a jump at you projectile action pose, but it's very much kind of like the static poses are straight on. Whereas
I love the V on the back, the way it angles down. That's beautiful.
It's I was gonna say, Joe, if you said her name was Krista, let her know. Krista. It's fantastic. It's clean. It's really clean looking, and the logo is perfect. It brings you back to the show, and it has that nostalgic look on the front, but yet you turn it around and it's a sharp card. It looks fresh. It looks new.
Thank you for calling that out, Josh. I'll show another one again. This is that little bust headshot type of thing.
Yeah, that's really sharp. I like that.
And I'm sure she'll be happy to hear it too. There were about 3 characters included in the style guide, kind of with this idea where it was like that V, 90-degree right angle cut bust type of thing. And I asked Krista, I said, how easy would this be to replicate, to duplicate? And she was like, oh, no problem. I could have that, to you before your first meeting, So it was great. But while I am talking about the other team members, we had Lisa in project management did a fantastic job, because this is an absolute deadline. Like this isn't like, we can't, we have to hit. but also, you know, on the coordinator side, Allison did a great job with the checklist, and some of the heavy lifting too. So we were happy to be able to create something that was delivered so timely and led to the eventuality that I'm getting at is that I believe as a company, we were completely sold out of the product by Friday morning or early Friday afternoon during
Yeah.
Comic-Con.
Yeah, I'd read that. I'd read that. Yeah.
And,
Wow.
as a company, many of our employees and coworkers were unable to get their hands on a pack. And again, just for disclaimer, again, this will be heading right back to the library on Monday. I'm just kidding around, but I feel the need to mention that twice. But yeah.
Oh no, that's good. I've got an because I haven't. There was a UK seller with some, but I didn't manage to grab any. And they sold out. I don't know how they got them back here so quick, but anyway. So I pulled a picture off the Bay of E, of just the set, and I just I love the styling. It's great. This is the first time I've really registered the team lineup card as well, which I imagine
Oh,
that's the header card, isn't it?
so yeah, the icon, the graphic used on that card was in a section of the style guides that includes kind of stylized or kind of more what they refer to as badge art, and that's more of the stuff you'll see on the clothing and other
Yeah.
merchandise with the other licensors. So collectively, we felt like so I do want to include that with the great direction that my supervisor Tony instilled upon me at this time, because he was the person who built, I believe. Either way, I'm going to hear from it from Billy or Tony, but I believe Tony created the product 2 years ago that included the Disney Plus and MCU product with the Hawkeye and the Kate Bishop and the Moon Knight
And the
pack.
pizza dog. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, pizza dog. Thank you. And so this configuration is very similar.
Yeah.
The spin that I put on it, and you know, I love sharing, you know, victories with the team, but I also kind of feel like, you know, I need to take ownership, you know, maybe once or twice more often. But the idea to add a second parallel, what was something I really felt strong about in this product, and so.
Let's have a look.
If anyone remembers 2 years ago with the Disney Plus and the MCU product, there was one parallel. It was like a rainbow foil
Yeah,
of
that's right.
random rainbow foil.
It's beautiful as
Well,
well. That was my foil card for the pack I got. It was Lucky the Pizza Dog. That's why I remember it. So of all the ones to get, I got Lucky the Pizza
Nice
Dog,
hit.
and I was actually made up about that. I'm more of a cat person, as you know, but Lucky the Pizza Dog.
Well, that's a banger. I don't know what you're saying. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, it's really good. So anyway, so yeah, so you've got so this is the more common one, which I think is. I mean, I'm just looking at a static image on the screen here, so I can't show you any shiny, but I've seen enough videos online to know that absolutely pops. Have you got one there?
I actually do.
Let's go back to our
right.
reporter on the scene.
Okay, so this was another decision that I'd like to point out is the pattern, the background pattern was a pattern I selected because I felt that no matter where you're looking at this card, you're going to see an X.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this pattern has a completely different name, official name with our vendor. I'll keep all that off the record, but yeah, it's just we were happy that
to be fair, we like hearing that stuff because after I'm running out of names for some of these patterns. Because the thing is, you might only have a core thing of maybe you've probably got more than this, but in my head, you've probably only got a core maybe 6 patterns. But because they're on different colors and different kind of finishes, it infinitely kind of expands what they could be called. So, you know, that pattern, I'm sure I've seen it on one division. It looked completely different to when I saw it on Platinum, for example, or when I saw it on, you know, it's crazy. I think the scientific geniuses that come up with this stuff.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And thank you. I mean, as a team effort, we're all very happy. We're happy it's sold out. You know, in hindsight, we wish we had more packs. You know, and who's to say if A, B, or C could have been, you know, taken to ensure that, you know, folks on Friday. But again,
is it just physical? Is there any digital or?
No, this was only the physical for the product. And I just wanted to show this because this was also on borrowed time here. But one of the things that we quickly noticed when we had these cards in hand was that we didn't call out the parallel on the back. Now that was a decision from me. I left it off the brief. I left it out as direction. I'll fall on that sword. But I didn't feel a need to call these parallels anything like a fancy name because it's a convention exclusive. But we could have very well, looking back, we could have very well used a call out somewhere to at least mention which one is the gold.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at is I don't in a certain light it's easily distinguishable, but once we had these in hand, I noticed that the difference was a bit too subtle for my comfort. However, I'll try to catch the light that catches more.
It shows.
So you've got the silver, that's rogue, yeah, and then the gold. Correct. And the gold is rarer. That's one in 6 packs or something.
Correct.
Yeah?
Correct.
Yeah.
So just to dispel any, you know, if I know even internally we're like, but I mean, under the right light, it's easily identifiable, but under certain light, you might, if you didn't have another card to compare it to in hand, which, you know, many collectors might not have, it might be a little difficult to differentiate.
I can see it. I can definitely see it. I mean, I feel that because what was it? Marvel Masterpieces 94, the gold and the bronze. Once you've seen the difference, you know the difference. But until you see it, it's like one of those magic eye paintings from back in the 90s. Was it 90s for magic eye things? I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Around the time of mall rats.
I could never see them, but then my eyes are screwed. I've got these. But yeah, once you've seen that, and I think there was I think Spider-Man Metal Universe, the yellow and the gold were almost indistinguishable. But those, I mean, I could see it straight away when you held it up.
Well, so, I'm glad to hear that. That's definitely something that the product managers are trying to keep aware of and be cognizant of, because just like that, you know, a bronze and a gold, you know, could be difficult to differentiate, you know, a yellow gold, and with certain things and certain products, you know, just using things with purpose is what we're after, what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Oh, and I tell you what it does. This is a complete segue, but I think it's an interesting one. Back in Flea Ultra Spider-Man 2017, so that's before your time. You were probably working your way up to the upper deck ladder at that point. The regular metal insert, and then the patterned one that you got when you combined 10 of them on e-pack, and the patterned one is I think twice I had ComC send me the base rather than the pattern because it's so difficult to see.
Wow.
And the best way to do it, there's a guy, I refer to him as Mr. Fussum, because we've all heard of Mr. Fuxum. You know who I mean by Mr. Fuxum, don't you? Have you heard this story?
No, I haven't. Please continue.
Go back and have a listen to episode 100 and something. It's early hundreds. There's a guy called Alan who owns and bought probably at least a third of the print run of Flea Ultra X-Men 2018. It is the one set he collects.
Wow.
And we had him on the podcast, and he's just the loveliest guy. And he's fortunate enough to work in a job that he can do that. It's the one set he wanted. He literally has built a concrete kind of bunker to store the cards in his house.
Wow. It reminds me, there's a guy that I heard a story, a guy just walked around handing out $2 bills to people and just had these rare, you know, just handing them out to people over time. And it sounds like once that vault opens up, you might just end up handing out these packs, these rare little things. I
don't know. I mean, you can still go on e-pack and look at Flea Ultra X-Men inventory. And when you see his username, which is AD something and I can't remember now. It's a short one. And then you look at the amount of inventory he's got.
Wow.
He's got sets and sets and sets. He's got, I think he's got the gold 1/1 Wolverine.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
The PMG,
yeah.
stuff like that. So anyway, but there's someone who's equally knowledgeable about Fleer Ultra Spider-Man, Jonathan Dunn. He collects silk, really lovely guy. And he knows the trick of it. It's when you take a flash photo of it, the pattern does a certain thing with the light. You can see it, and once you've seen it, you can see it when you're holding it. But until you kind of get that, it's really difficult to see. So yeah, so that whole differential thing, and I know you guys have started to put on the back. I mean, in some cases it's really obvious, but some of them are really close. So thank you for that, because graders, I've seen graders get it wrong as well. As well as the guys at ComSeed. Everyone's human. There's no fault of anyone's, but it is extremely vexing when you've gone through and gone and acquired these achievements on EPAC, and then they send you the base. I was like, I have to go and get another one now. Anyway, we got slightly off topic there, but I'm going to share screen again because I found this brilliant website. There's a guy called Ryan Cracknell, and he's been doing this for years. He does this kind of news trader cracks, and I think he also writes I think he does stuff for Beckett as well. But anyway, he does this breakdown of all the sets, and it's always a good resource to go to. But yeah, so you got the pattern. It's described as a pattern foil for the silver. That's 15 cards. So basically, the format is you get 16 cards in a pack. So you get the base set, including the header. That's the 15 cards, and then you will get an extra card, which will be one of those 15 in one of the two different foil formats.
That's correct. And the SRP on this product was $25. It's essentially, and we can walk through the base set. I have the base set in my hand. If you don't mind, we can.
No, we will, because we've got the gold pattern foil board. So
yeah,
that's the one.
Look at how good the X looks.
Oh, it's just so good.
Cascading
that's
in
it,
the back.
right above the X. Thank you, Josh. Yeah,
it's
thanks.
So good. It's so good. Right, let me just go back to Joe then, because he's about to show us some of the juicy goods.
Sure. Yeah. So this $25 a pack. There was a feeling of importance to create something that regular collectors or somebody who just wanted something. The buzzword around conventions is the word exclusive, and so like people are bouncing around. Who has an exclusive? What exclusive do you have? This and that. Many of the Comic-Con goers go there with an idea of what they already know they want, and they head out and grab it if they're lucky. But many times too, to fill the time afterwards, it's kind of bouncing around. What's the exclusive? So we wanted to create something that regular collectors could pick up and take with them and move along as they move along the conference floor. You never know, somebody might be there for a day, somebody might have a day pass, somebody might be back later in the weekend, you never know. But so we created, every pack you get the entire product. And I don't know, I wonder if like the autofocus, I need to cover my eye. Maybe
no, it looks good. It looks good to me.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So here's the team lineup card.
So
I'm sorry, these are a little out of order. Pardon that for a moment. It's when I pulled that card earlier. All right, I'm ready.
I've been sitting here with this all evening, so I'm just gonna have a little sip of wine. Sorry, it's evening o'clock here, and it's been sat here just breathing for an hour.
Please do. I am not offended one bit. So here's card number 2 is Cyclops.
Beautiful.
It's just the outfits. They're just so cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is the X-Men, isn't it? I mean, no disrespect to what they did in the 60s and 70s,
sure.
But this is when it's like when you get to your 4th album and you've suddenly hit your stride. Even the Beatles. I'm not being funny. I love the Beatles. Their first few albums are great, but they weren't their
the
best.
97, the style of animation and the suits and everything that come along with this time was. It's like the dream team of it. Yeah. It launched a massive amount of X-Men.
But that whole run of comics that it came off the back of, that it kind of emulated. That I remember that infamous, was it Uncanny? Was it 284 with Bishop on? Was it 284 or 29? Anyway, and just that look that just became
Yeah.
the X-Men for
I
that
agree that
decade. Look at that.
it's the blue and yellow suits. You know, it's blue and
Right.
gold suits for the blue and gold team, and that look is really iconic, at least in the age range, age group that I belong to. You know, I was born in the 80s, raised in the 90s, and this was everything at one
That
point.
was it.
You know, not to jump into it all the way, but Ian, you mentioned, you know, Saturday morning cartoons. I mean, uh, I could probably name and sing the theme song to maybe 10 or 15 different shows. And
Oh, I
there's a
could, but I'd be a decade before you. See, for me, it was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Iceman and Firestar.
Okay.
There you
That's the
go.
one. That's the one I had, and that was 80s. That was late 80s.
Yeah, that's every one of these.
Storm is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this
And what,
arcade game with the multiplayer,
Yes.
like
Oh,
six
yeah.
Yes.
players at
You could
once,
stand
and
around.
nothing
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it
yeah.
at the time.
Mm.
And
oh
these
yeah,
were that was the Magneto, that was the Storm. It's like the same animation pack. It's beautiful.
absolutely. And it's just here we go with the blue and
Oh,
gold,
there he is.
blue and yellow suits again. Is
Bishop.
that it's just iconic. It's the way that I remember them. It's the way that,
Yep.
you know, like growing up, Saturday mornings didn't matter where you were, how late you slept in, whatever. But as soon as you heard that music start, like in my case or any of my brother's case, you got out of bed, you got right
Yeah,
in
yeah,
front of
yeah.
the TV for X-Men because
Yeah.
for us it was 10 in the morning. So I mean, as kids, you know, if you slept till 10, I think that's all right. But
Yeah.
the weekend that is.
That
But
was the original series was appointment TV for me and my brother. Once we discovered it was every Saturday. Had to watch it.
You see,
Absolutely.
at the time it came on, a point now that's Sunspot, isn't it? That guy. Yeah,
yeah, it
that's
is.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time it came on, this will make you feel. So, appointment TV for me at this point was at
Beautiful.
the other end of the day. It was
Uh,
Friends.
Right.
It was Frasier. It was ER. And oh wow, look at that. And NYPD Blue. So, you know, I graduated to the other end of the day at that point.
Yeah.
I remember all of those shows too.
Yeah.
I believe NYPD Blue, by chance, there was a character named Agent Sorensen by
Yes.
chance, and that being my last name. But
Yes. Yes.
how odd of a connection there. But
Yeah. No, I mean,
uh,
that looks, I mean, that's such a cool little set. What I love about the convention exclusives, let's just say convention exclusives, um,
sure.
is, is the feeling of completeness you get. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I've seen some people go, oh, where's the fun in getting it all in one pack? And actually, it's the exclusivity that's the draw. I remember the Upper Deck Gallery set from I think it was 2019 San Diego Comic Con, when it was the card versions of a lot of the prints that I think you still carry on your online store. And those now I see people chase it, especially character collectors chasing those because some of the images are just extraordinary. And they're not done for cards, they're done for larger format, but they really work as cards because it's got this lovely bordering and this foiling on it. And graded copies of those, they're worth tracking down because they're just beautiful and they display so well. You know, the curb appeal on them is so good. But it's just that feeling of satisfaction. There was a Marvel Studios one from 2018 where you had that was quite a lot of cards in that one because it was the movie poster from every movie up to and including Endgame.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was a little before my time, but
Yeah.
sounds like a good one.
Yeah, I've got all these. We need to do an episode, lads, where we just look at convention exclusives.
That's
Sure.
a great idea.
And I'll just get a decent cam set up and we'll just go through them because there's some stuff that people probably who came into the hobby, you know, COVID or afterward, just might not have come across yet.
The
Was
one I'm
the
most
was the Spider-Man? I'm sorry, Jason, go ahead.
the one I'm most familiar with was I think it was in 2020. Because of COVID, they released the exclusive on EPAC, the Marvel Cyber,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's still there. But
remember that.
I have a set. I bought the pack, and those are actually really pretty, not, you know, they're nice cards.
I still
A
haven't
little
had
bit of
one shipped home. So
Oh yeah, they're not. They have nice little pink foiling on them. That, you know, that
nice.
cyberpunk
Was
look.
the 2016 the red Spider-Man and that Green Hulk for Marvel Masterpieces, were those a convention exclusive?
No. Well, yes, one of them was. One of them was
Those were
non-sport
amazing.
update. Yeah, non-sport update had Hulk, and the Spider-Man was a convention.
With a Hulk with a green and the Spider-Man with a red.
Yes,
They were
that's right.
they were
Um,
beautiful.
and there's others as well. Sorry, Joe, we've gone off on one now.
Oh no, no worries.
But
Actually, thank you, Jason and Josh. I'm sure, and Ian. I'm sure those who work on those products who are still at the company and loving it would very much appreciate hearing that stuff.
oh, there's some great stuff. Seriously, there's some really cool stuff that you know, living where I am, and you know, even especially, you know, Josh and Jason, you know, Aaron, who was always eBay in the days after San Diego Comic Con. So, you know, getting on there and grabbing those convention exclusives, and sometimes they dry up pretty quickly. Especially the oversized stuff. I remember the 2014, Joe Gisco was there signing oversized prints of Lady Sif and Deadpool from the, at that point, what would have been Marvel Masterpieces 2014. Obviously, it didn't come out for a couple of years, but those oversized prints of those cards that he signed for, like, I think an hour at the Upper Deck booth at San Diego Comic Con, they're like hen's teeth now. I mean, I had them. I sold them a few years ago, but I wish I'd kept the Deadpool one, given recent events. But can we segue slightly to that? Who hasn't seen Deadpool and Wolverine on this call?
We're good here.
Has everyone seen it?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Yep.
Right. In that case, listeners, we're going to talk about it, because if you haven't, so spoilers. So you've heard all about X-Men 97, which we might go back to in a minute, but now we're going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, because that yellow outfit on that card that you were just holding,
Oh, absolutely.
made flesh by the genius of Ryan Reynolds.
Oh my God.
Sean Levy, who's the director, and Hugh Jackman. How good was it seeing that suit? Like, real.
It was. Yeah,
So
I
much
heard.
fun.
I know a couple people that, so at Comic-Con, before the night before the Hall H thing for Marvel. So this would be Friday night.
Yeah.
There was a private screening of the movie Deadpool and Wolverine in the same room. And what made this so special, it was the release date, or the night before. No, yeah, the release date. But you could watch the movie with Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Sean Levy, all the cast, the team, and they would do a panel after that. So, yeah, I heard from a couple people who were there that the biggest pop during that whole experience was when Wolverine pulled his mask over.
Yes.
So I thought that was pretty cool to share. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I just kind of, because I'm terrible at seeing films too late, largely because I've chosen to breed in my life, and so I haven't really been able to go to the cinema in a timely manner for the last 9 years. But this one, I made a trip. I managed to say to the wife, "No, you're on childcare duty today. I'm off to the cinema. See ya." And off I went. Let's talk about Gambit.
Yes, please.
Channing Tatum, finally,
Yeah.
having, you know, never had that opportunity, because I believe the Solo movie got pulled for various reasons.
Yeah, and I read that he even because I mean, I remember hearing about that for several years. Oh, there's going to be a Gambit with Channing Tatum, and it got pulled. And apparently, after this movie came out, he apparently I don't know if he had to go to therapy, but I mean, it really bothered him that had happened. With that movie. I don't know how in depth, but it kind of bothered him that it got pulled out and he didn't get to do it.
I mean, he was properly up for it, and like training and doing all the, reading all the books and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I don't know the depth of what happened, but if you look at his like timeline, he was in 21 Jump Street, he was in this, he was in that, he was around loads, and then suddenly he wasn't for a couple of years. He kind of just dropped off a little bit, and part of that's because he was in prep for this.
Sure.
And it took him out of his calendar. He passed on other projects. So I imagine if you get to that point and you're that close to go, and I think they were pretty close to go on it, and then it got pulled for whatever reason. I think it's a rights thing or whatever. Yeah, I imagine that would probably put you off doing films for a little bit. But it was just so good. And what was it? What was Deadpool's line back was saying that his accent sounded like the Minions or something.
Yeah,
yeah, his dialect coach.
Yeah,
that's it. And I love the fact that nothing was sacred. Everything had a pot shot.
Oh yeah.
But as a massive fan of the Daredevil Affleck movie, and I know there's at least one person I know who's throwing a rock at me right now, seeing Jennifer Garner back as Elektra, I was just like, yes.
Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah.
That was cool. And then when she was talking about everybody that had died, in the void, and she says Daredevil, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Says, it's fine.
No big.
That was a little. You just kind of dig it, I guess.
Yeah, that's funny, Jason,
or whatever. Yeah.
There
was a lot of kind of. There was a lot of kind of inside baseball or some
yes
Hollywood business kind of meta jokes kind of thrown in throughout the film.
Well, some of it not so meta. I mean, let's face it, the whole thing was talking about the MCU as a construct. Yeah. It was talking about, I'm Marvel Jesus. Sure. And I mean, look at their opening weekend.
Oh yeah.
It
was amazing.
I mean, their opening weekend, I think, beat the entire domestic gross of Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah, it's big
numbers. Pretty much. So, I might have got the wrong Marvel movie from that year, but it's probably not far off it. No disrespect to James Gunn, traitor. But yeah, I'm.
Do you think it was something to the Blade comment? How when Blade was like, and there's only one Blade.
Entirely possibly. I tell you what, you should listen to.
Big wide eye shot after.
Are you familiar with? Got one about that. Are you familiar with Empire magazine? It's a movie magazine. It's a pretty famous one. They do they do loads of stuff. They've been going in the UK for over 30 years. And they've done a podcast for about the last 10 that's pretty popular. But they also do a spoiler podcast. And they've just done a spoiler podcast where they're interviewing Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy for about 45 minutes. And they're talking about all the stuff that they wanted to do but couldn't, and certain things that they were challenged on and things like this. And that was touched on. It was quite interesting. And they talk about something else. They were going to make a joke. You know the joke about Pinocchio?
Yes.
I'm not going to say it out loud because this is kind of a family podcast. It used to be a family podcast. Then that was actually, they wanted to do something else, and that was the softer version of what they wanted to do. But they didn't say what they were going to do because I think it was like so bad. And if that was the softer version of what they wanted to do, it's like, wow, they were really pushing the envelope with that. So yeah, no, I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I can imagine the fun that could be had with a trading card set for that movie. But we're not going to speculate on that today. But what is there any other like trading card set that might be happening or about to happen? I told you this was going to be clumsy when we got there, Joe. That you might be able to touch on or allude to, because you hinted that you might have something to tell us before we started.
I might in addition to what I came to the show to share about X-Men 97. By the way, I don't know if I officially mentioned, but happy 200th episode and happy 5th anniversary.
Oh, bless you, sir. Thank you.
It's also to see you, Josh and Jason. I've looked up your origin stories in podcast format. I have some questions for everybody for the round table. I was gonna make a joke about Gambit earlier, but I'm sure Keith, is appreciative of, the Gambit cards we were touching on before. But here is what might be something. I almost get the feeling of this might be how Grant feels, who, I mentioned earlier might be like the Kevin Feige of announcing these things. But
There's a Grant. We never know in advance what Grant we're going to get. But when we get Grant, wind him up and set him off and just hold on tight, then
Sure.
it's like we're literally sitting here with the air blowing our ears back, and Grant just goes. So I'm not sure how
What an
Grant feels in
experience.
those circumstances, because we certainly feel blessed, I think is the word.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, so if you guys remember about 5 or 6 months ago, I had the pleasure of joining you guys, but also I had the pleasure of TJ joining me.
Mm.
We were here to discuss an EPAC exclusive product, Fleer Throwbacks 89 Marvel Edition.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, I'd like to ask if anybody is a fan of the Silver Age of Marvel Comics. Who isn't? Who might not? Who wouldn't? What a loaded question. I'm here to announce that next month we will be releasing, again as an EPAC exclusive, our next iteration of Fleer Throwbacks.
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
And you heard it here first, and I am honored to be sharing it with you all. The next version will be called Fleer Throwbacks 1959 to 63 Marvel Edition.
Whoa!
Oh, nice.
Wow.
As you mentioned a moment or two ago, when you wind up Grant, I shouldn't mention that, but when Grant gets going, it's an experience, and this culminated from a discussion we had, mostly led by him, mostly, but also I was chiming in on thoughts as well. But this is very much, the first iteration of this brand, this product, was to appease or kind of whet the appetite of people in, our age range or generation, or that thereof nearby, something of the sort.
Yeah.
There are also a very large amount of us that are happy with and very interested with the stories being told in the Silver Age. So what we're going to do with this product, and I do want to say that if you'll have us, I would like to offer the respect to at least offer the opportunity for TJ to join me for more of an in-depth discussion of this product. But in the meantime, I do also just want to mention the theming of the grouping of years might be a hint at something, in the way that certain products for certain sports might include multiple years in the same product. What we're going to do here is we're going to expand the base set into 2 different 30-card sets. One will be more common, one could be the unofficial high series. What we are going after here this time around is the 1963 Fleer baseball design for the base set, and that will be coupled with the 1961 to 62 Fleer basketball design. Now, I don't have any of that pulled up, but in case any of you wanted to pull that up,
I'm doing it right now. Fleer baseball 1963.
Correct. And 1961 to 62 Fleer basketball. Now, what we are going to do, in essence, is follow in the same direction that we did the first time around, is that we are going to feature characters from this time frame on designs from this time frame with photos to match from this time frame.
Who hasn't seen one of these cards? Right. Okay. One moment, caller.
They are legendary. I know, Jason, you guessed last time we were talking, you guessed a very good guess about the mid-'80s basketball. This is our next step. Not to say that anything is on or off the table, but this is the next step in the Fleer Throwbacks product evolution.
Right. So let's start with the 1961, 1962. Oh, these look great. 1961, 1962 basketball.
Here
I'm
we are.
afraid that's not the best quality image, but it's pretty good. It gives you the sense of it.
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think I've ever seen those before, but I love the design.
Yeah, I
And
haven't seen this one.
can't
I've seen the baseball one that we're about to
yeah,
show, but
I've
I haven't
seen
seen this one.
Yeah.
but that
Mm.
I can't wait to see that with Marvel characters.
Yes.
That'd be from that time period. That would be a nice
Oh,
fit.
OG Fantastic Four.
Absolutely. And thank you. I'm glad to hear you say that, Jason, and I'm glad to hear that, Ian and Josh as well, because as Timely Comics moved into Atlas Comics, which became Marvel Comics, there was the time period. If we're hitting 1959 and we're looping it over to 1963,
Mm.
we're also including what was popular at a time in the 50s, which was, well, I shouldn't say that because we're not necessarily, let me just reflect a little bit. In the late 50s, it was mainly mostly, monsters and romance and westerns and crime and other things of that nature. Um, we will have characters that represent this time span, but also I will mention we have an insert set themed around monsters specifically.
Yeah.
But without getting too far into things, we were also leaning into the Marvel era. Um,
Mm.
I won't share characters because I believe that would be TJ's right when we line something up to discuss this more in depth soon. However, yes, like 1961, Fantastic Four, Incredible Hulk, 62, 63 were some other very, very important titles as well. So
Mm.
again, that is in essence, and here we are. Yes, thank you. So as we can see, we tried to lean into designs that are visible on the screen right now, and so we're excited about it. We're excited to announce it officially, or I shouldn't say that. We're excited to be prepared to discuss it officially with officially provided, marketing
You've been
image
given the
assets.
green light. You've been given the green light to just to talk about it. Is basically where
Correct,
we're
correct.
going.
And
Good, good,
yeah,
good.
yeah. And rather than have, two products mashed into one, and what do we title this episode? And now it's 22 letters long. Um, I think
You
if
can
and
have so much
when,
fun with that. You can have so much fun with that. Look at that. So and you might not be able to talk about this yet, but I know we're probably going to get into talking about the card stock and the feel of them as well, because it'll be an EPAC release, so it'd be nice to get a sense of that as well. So we'll put a pin in that
absolutely.
for when TJ's with you, because I'm looking. When you were coming up with your announcement, you said about TJ. I thought you were going to say. I'm here to announce TJ and I have got married, or something like that. or here's TJ, and he was just suddenly appear from the left of your screen, or
Oh,
something
that's
like
so
that.
funny.
It
Yeah.
would be quite funny if that happened, but no. I mean, these are cool. I mean, look at these. I mean, I'm. This
I
is
love that.
well before my era,
Oh yeah.
obviously, but
You.
can you imagine that design, that style? I mean, it's so of its time. It's so of its time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
And,
those are some of the first cards I ever saw graded or slabbed were
Wow.
these two
Oh,
styles. Because
cool.
most card shops you go to would have one row of these with some of the highlight players
Mm.
slabbed up, and it was, before my time too, but it's the first one of the most recognizable, like, layout platforms, kind of
Yeah.
the color styling.
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Look at that.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, it was essentially when we lean into, yeah, which time frame, it's also kind of like,
Mm.
whoa, if we want to lean into the Silver Age, what really took off? And I believe that last set we were looking at, I think the basketball set that year was Wilt Chamberlain or Oscar Robertson's rookie card. I think it was Wilt
Mm.
Chamberlain's rookie card. So we definitely leaned into that. And while we have this up on the screen, you guys might be thinking, well, these seem to be color matched to the team colors. Will the upcoming cards be color matched to the character's primary color? and we will see about that. I gotta leave a
Oh.
cliffhanger.
You're enjoying this way too much. This is cool. I love this.
Thank
Right.
you.
So we need to get this in the diary then, don't we? Because we're as we speak, it's August. So as people hear this, it'll be August because this will come out. But we'll put this out straight away this week. So San Diego Comic Con is still relatively recent. So we're talking September.
Yes, yeah, September next month. We are ready to
Right.
roll. We're ready to release, and we're looking forward to it.
Right. So we need to. So guys, off when we've done, we need to get a date in the diary with TJ and Joe.
Yeah.
Return. The return. Um, this is very exciting. I'm I'm looking forward to this. I still haven't got. I've got the preview ones that Dylan and Billy sent over, and I filled out the set on EPAC, but I haven't had a shipping from EPAC since 2 years ago. So they're in a very big queue, waiting to be shipped over. So I'm looking forward to getting that set all binded up. That's exciting.
Yeah,
Wowzers. Oh, hang on. What's Jason got? Oh, hang on, Jason.
Oh,
Right, let's have a look, Jason. What you got? Let's have a look. Let's get these
So
up.
this is from the 80. I had them handy, the 89 throwbacks. So this
Very
is just some of the achievement cards I got.
Very cool.
Oh, yes.
Very cool.
And then I had the insert sets.
Oh, that's
Had
beautiful.
the achievements that I was able to get, and then the insert sets that I was able to put together. So this superheroes of Marvel and the exciting stars.
Nice.
Cool.
And then I don't have I haven't sent the base set home yet, but I don't have it handy, but the I put a rainbow set together of the Beast card.
That's right.
So I've got the gold, red, black, yellow, orange, and green. I still haven't gotten the blue or purple yet. But,
Wow.
but yeah, they're nice. They're nice. They're nice cards. They feel good in hand. They really pop, and I really enjoy them. So I'm looking forward to the next iteration.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. I thank you for collecting. I actually have, a bit of research conducted, as I mentioned, watching everybody's origin story episodes and whatnot.
Oh,
And
here we go.
the first episode of you all joining the team officially as Avengers or X-Men, what have you, thematic for the episode, sure. So maybe possibly I don't know if maybe it's a different segue transition into something. I might have some questions for you guys if you don't mind.
Hit me.
Okay, wow. I figured
Or hit him.
who would I be not to at least research the guests that I am humbled to be joining, or the hosts that I'm humbled to be joining. So out of the group, there's a love and appreciation of original art. There's a love and appreciation of sketch cards. Artists being brought in for the original art sets. Artists being brought in or commissioned for sketch cards, APs, what have you. Who are your favorite artists, each of you? And then who might be an artist that each of you believe might be up and coming or next to really blow or blow up, or like a rising star of sorts?
That's a good question. Awesome. So I would say, just right offhand, Kenneth Hutchinson and Bella Rochlin are my two favorites. Kenneth Hutchinson's style it's sharp, it's on point. He has this unique way of making Spider-Man perfect in any version of Spider-Man. It's an iconic pose. Everything he throws in there is a ton of action in just about any commission. I've gotten 4 from him, and the Venom and the Wolverine are two of the best I've ever seen.
Wow.
I fell in love with what the guy does after that. Bella has this color palette. The way that some of these things that she does, she's real big on anatomy, so it's true to form. It's like it's accurate. It no matter how wild the card is, it's very form fitting. That everything's right. And as bright and as vibrant of a color spectrum as you're going to find, every one of these. And I would say up and coming, Ash Gonzalez. I'd probably say Ash is one of these. Is a different style that reminds me of when we saw Plumo and Masterpieces. Kind of everybody took a little, and it took some time for some people to kind of, but different is great. Different is awesome. And I think Ash has this thing going for him where every time you see one of his pieces, real fast. Even if you're searching for a logo, which helps, Chris Foreman's logo, a few of those guys, it's iconic. You know what to look for and where it is. Sure. But Ash has this thing going for him where you just look at you could cut the card in a fourth and tell it's him from any style. So yeah, it's offhand.
Oh, great answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jason, you ready?
Come on. No, you go.
All right. Okay. Wow. Well, at the moment, I have to say it's going to be Simone Bianchi at the moment in terms of kind of base set art, cover art, interior art, books, cards. I mean, the guy's just, yeah, I just love it. His sketch cards just have this unworldliness to them that is just uniquely him. And yeah, he's just such a he's got such a difference about the way that his work looks. And it's yeah, I'm digging it. I'm enjoying Masterpieces 2018 again in a different way, acquiring the orange parallel but PSA graded when I can find them, because the orange just gives just brightens the card. It's been spoken about a lot how the set maybe didn't appear as bright as it could have done, and yada yada yada, but the orange just sets it off, something to the eye, just brings the pieces to life. And so just that parallels just bewitch me. I've got some graded tier 4s on the way actually. So plus the rainbow foil ones. Joss, there's that one you keep trying to sell, which I keep wanting to have the money for. But the rainbow foil parallels of his work just like and Dave Palumbo as well, just consistently just delivers what you don't quite expect, I think. His Ghost Spider for Platinum is just wow. Okay, that's that perspective that he's got on there. His there's a Captain America, I believe he did for Flair.
Absolutely,
yeah. That's just wonderful. And I'm enjoying seeing those works. His
Moon Knight is the best Moon Knight I've ever seen.
Yeah, they pop out and surprise you. And I tell you another one I really want to see more of. Speaking of Moon Knight, is E.M. Gist.
Yeah.
His Moon Knight from Flair 2019 is up there. I mean, you toss a coin between him and Sienkiewicz in terms of the probably best Moon Knights out there. It's just up and coming. Bill Sienkiewicz, I think he's got a good future ahead of him. He's going to go a long way, that lad. Let me think. I got to say, we've spoken to a few guys recently who've come through on the Platinum Flair, who the more I see by them, but there's a couple that we haven't had on yet that may well have been around for a while. Just we haven't had them on, so I don't know their backstories. But Jonathan Kolsch, I'm seeing his work on Instagram. Ty Romser, some of his stuff is amazing. Of course, you got Ben Brady. I'm dying to see Oliver Harbour do some more Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think he's had a call for another set as yet. But yeah, but some of these guys, it's just exciting. It's really exciting. Some of these new guys coming in, just you can see that they're getting better with each thing they do. Um, and I'm kind of thinking, what are they going to be like 5, 10 years down the line?
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
and what that it's opened them to a new audience. So you got to kind of wonder, okay, is that going to mean that in 5 years' time they might be doing some exclusive cover work for Marvel or DC or IDW? You know, I mean, one would hope so because they're all
Right. The
deserving of it.
steps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'd love to see that happen. You know, in the same way that God, you go back 15 years and some of those sketch card artists that were on the early Upper Deck sets and some of the Rittenhouse sets at the
Mhm.
time, and now, you know, doing mainstream, and mainstream is the wrong word, doing more widely accessible, you know, cover work and interior work on Marvel books, DC books, IDW, you know, what the other publishers, I can't remember the name, or Boom, Wildstorm, all those, you know, Image, you know, some of the artists that we, you know, that were in cards that have gone on to do that.
Sure.
I find that very exciting, you know. And the people who've returned to cards,
Yeah.
you know, like we mentioned Ron Lim at the top,
Yeah.
Bill, you know, I had the fortune to interview Bill a few years ago for this. And at that point, Marvel cards were very much in his rearview mirror.
Mm.
You know, I'm going to reach out to him again and see if he wants to come back and talk about returning to the you know, the fray,
Yeah.
because I'd be interested to you know, to get his perception on it. All these years gone by, and I'm sure these guys would love to spend half an hour to an
Oh
hour in his
yeah.
company.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, you know, I'd love to make that happen. You know, and there's some sketch card artists. You know, sorry, I'm going on one here. There's some sketch card artists who I just see them improving so much with each set. You know, their confidence, their audience is growing. You know, the most obvious one I think of is Andre Horsch. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, he's deservedly got built his status and his stature, and he's doing some banging work. And I just see him showing it all the time. And you know, George Vega is another one. You know, he's been in sketch cards for so many years, and he's doing some really, really good work. I mean, he's had 2 Kickstarters of his sketch card work for multiple companies. He's got enough to fill 2 books. You know, so you
Yeah.
know, I mean, there's loads of other people I could mention, but you know,
But
there's a
Andre Ash is a great one. There's a huge, clear progression
yeah,
to
yeah,
where
yeah,
we're at now, and
yeah, yeah.
you know you love to
Mm,
see that. You get to kind of
absolutely.
follow it along, like your favorite show or favorite, and
Mm.
it's really fun to see.
Yeah,
And
you kind of want to cheerlead these people, you know,
yeah, oh
because
yeah.
you're kind of willing them to get, you know, to get the next really good gig. What about you, Jason? Have you had enough time with me waffling away?
No, well, I was kind of having some, gaps thinking of trying to think of artists because I love pretty much all original art and looking at it, and most of my knowledge comes from the comic books, and I'm learning that there's card artists that I've seen since the 90s, but the one that back in the 90s that just blew me away, and he's still working today, is uh the Hildebrandt brothers.
Oh,
The 94 the 94 Marvel
Icon.
masterpieces still is near and dear
Hmm.
to my heart.
mm.
And the set that really brought me back in to um
Oh, there we go.
yeah, there it
94
is.
masterpieces. Look at that.
On point, on ready 5.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that set. I've gone on record saying that. And then Simone Bianchi, I was a fan of his comics work, and then that 2018 Marvel Masterpieces was kind of the first thing I dug into. And I still love looking at those cards. But I also like, recent with Platinum bringing back some of, Ian mentioned Bill Sienkiewicz, Ron Lim. I was happy to see Bob McLeod get some love.
Mm.
because I've met him many times. I have two friends that I used to go to conventions with that were massive New Mutants fans, so they loved them some Bob McLeod and Bill Sienkiewicz. And but yeah, I like, Bob McLeod's work's not necessarily, it's not flashy, but if you look at it, he's got a classic style and his lines are super clean. And he can draw pretty much any character. So I'm happy to see, that he was featured in Platinum. And I saw some of the sketch cards on eBay or ePack that were pulled. I think a Spider-Man. He draws a really great, just kind of that traditional classic Spider-Man. That's what I like to see. And Ian mentioned for up and coming, but I've been really amazed by Ben Brady and Oliver Harbour. Ben's Angel on Platinum is probably, I'm not going after a rainbow of it or anything like that, but that's probably my favorite card in that set. I'm not a massive Angel fan per se, but I like that classic suit. I like the pose. I like the look of it. It's awesome. And then Oliver, the images we saw from Flair and some of his other stuff on Instagram, he's got a really interesting way of kind of perspective and showing a character, and it could be a pose or kind of a ready action shot, but there's so much in it that all his work tells a story. You kind of get that moment of what he's trying to capture. So
yeah, his Magneto from Flair is just chef's kiss.
Oh yeah, the Goblin card too is awesome.
That Goblin card.
That card, the glider looks like it's got like the inside boiler of a steam engine where there's like fire coming out of the eyes and the mouth of the glider. It's killer.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody.
Sorry, that was a long answer, Joe. You've probably got a whole list of questions here. We've blown the budget on the first one.
That was great. I might have one or two other questions if you guys don't mind. I hope you guys don't mind.
I'm good.
Don't mind or any. But before we move forward, I know you guys mentioned Platinum and Flair a couple times. I don't have like another product announcement. I just wanted to start with that. But
Platinum 2 coming next week. Hold your wallets.
Something, we're always, paying attention to feedback from the community. We're always paying attention to, ways that, X, Y, or Z could be done better or maybe differently. Many times, for whatever reason. Anyway, we are paying attention. I do want to mention that moving forward, we are planning to include the issue title, number, all of that on publishing, artwork from photos that we're selecting. We are also on most sets, not all sets, but most where it makes sense. And then we are also planning to include the original artist's name on all original art cards. So something that a collector won't have to wonder, where is this image from publishing, from Marvel Comics? Where is that from? And who did this art? Because quite honestly, that should always be included. And so before I segued into the additional questions I had, since we were talking about Flair and Platinum, I felt the need to bring that up. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention answer the question from the first one. I would say I don't want to give, the boilerplate response about, Jim Lee being a favorite of mine or whatnot, but a lot of the group that left to form Image Comics was a lot of the illustrators that I was following, but some up and coming artists that I would like to mention I have it written down. I can prove it to you guys, but Ben Brady, Ty, Ramsa, Oliver Harbour, and I appreciate what Narendra Adi contributed to Flair. So I did want to at least, because I don't think we can ever really show too much love to the artists for the original art, for their contributions to what we enjoy so much as well too. So the decision to include their name wasn't a me thing. It was, all the way up the ladder type of that should be included. But also, anytime we can spend 5-10 minutes talking about them is a victory usually. So
Mm.
they don't necessarily always get the spotlight, but moving forward, we're taking steps to make sure that that will continue.
I've got
A
an honorable,
couple.
before you say your next thing, I've got an honorable mention for Andre Meister.
I was just
Thank
thinking.
you.
Now,
Yes.
I won't lie to you. I I I don't find his style, this is going to sound really odd. I don't find his style appealing, as in I don't think I'd collect it. That's just my personal thing, but I know a lot of people really dig it. But I find it massively intriguing, and I can't take my eyes off it at the same time. I think it's fascinating what he manages to do, even though it's not to my personal taste. But I just think he's given such a different flavour. Flea Ultra Midnight Suns. I mean, my goodness me. I mean, what a perfect fit for his style. But then I'm seeing what he's pulled out of was he in Flair? Was he in Flair? He was in Flair, wasn't he? That's right.
Platinum. He was in Platinum for
Was he in
sure.
Platinum as well?
Yes.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I know he was in another original art set, and to be honest with you, they're so close. They've all come out so close together. They're all merging into one. Um, but yeah, no, I dig him, and I love his social content. I mean, I know what a lot of work that social content is for all these guys. But he has fun with it, and it's really interesting to see. And he's a really sweet guy. So, you know, even though he's not, you know, his style isn't one that I would personally collect, I've got massive respect for the fact that his style is different and that it's punching at the same weight as everyone else that we've spoken about. I mean, yeah, hats off to the guy. Absolutely. And he's got great hair as well.
And these different styles of art are it's just like different styles of music and things, different styles, anime, etc. It changes into what's the most popular. And to see that rotation and that carousel is awesome too, because
absolutely
it doesn't all, for lack of better term, it doesn't all sound the same. Just like this here. Now some of these card sets coming out, we've been hit with a ton in a short period of time, but such different styles of art give us like these cool different, still keeps it interesting and exciting.
And that's the interesting thing about this year, especially a little bit with last year, but mainly this year, is I think a lot of the sets that have come out won't be appreciated fully for a year or two, or maybe 3 or 4 years to come.
Absolutely,
I really don't, because I think collectors are. It's not a criticism aimed at you or Upper Deck in particular, but I just think just with the circumstances of how quickly they've come out. I think I've commented before that some of them haven't been allowed to breathe as much. They haven't had that breathing room before the next thing and then the next thing. I mean, one that has is Platinum, because it had, there was a little bit of a nice gap there. And I think that speaks to its longevity and its popularity on EPAC as well, because people have had time to figure out, okay, what it is they dig and what they're going to go for. But I think something like Flair and then Flair Ultra Midnight Suns. I mean, Flair Ultra Midnight Suns is just literally, as we record, come out on EPAC. So it's now starting to get, that second push, if you like. But I think it's going to be a while before those sets are fully viewed with perspective and in the round. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think it's also true of other sets like the MCU sets and things like that. I think there's stuff that, is just, because it's just everything's moving so fast. But in particular,
took folks a while to catch up with Gems and a few other sets around there where it just all of a sudden they were getting appreciated 4 or 5 years later. This one, Midnight Suns, is absolutely probably going to fall into that category. Where
Flair 2019 is getting some love of late. So's Flair Ultra X-Men. Some people are rediscovering that recently. I've seen it on the group. It's fascinating. They're like, "Oh, hello, I'll have some of that." Yeah,
it is interesting.
Sorry, carry on, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I remember hearing internally, or it's even being public knowledge too, but I think 2013 and 2015 Fleer Marvel Retro, I think at that time had difficulty moving, and that was
Very
something
much.
that years later was just a boom. And I understand that, the release, I think the resounding response from your panel, from the panel here is, Simone Bianchi 2018 Marvel Masterpieces seems to be a favorite among your group. There were compliments about the 94 Masterpieces product in previous episodes. But, even with Josh, you mentioned, Fleer Ultra Avengers and Spider-Man Metal, and Jason, you mentioned, Fleer Ultra Avengers, and, there are certain brands that I think whether they really erupted the moment they were released or whether there was a little bit of smoke to settle and clear. I understand that there was quite a gap for a little bit of time between product releases. And for whatever reason, certain things might have bottlenecked. And then we're experiencing something of, what seems to be, what we all worked on. And whether it was released a year ago or delayed, it just seems to be however the chips are starting to fall. And so I can understand that there is a feeling in the secondary community of maybe these products don't have enough room or as much room to breathe as maybe we should be allowed as a community. And the aftermath of all of that is most certainly what would most likely lead to this. And that's, time down the road, whether a year, a month, or a month, a year, a couple of years, there should be a moment where each product at least has their moment to shine or at least regain some sort of momentum, and kind of like, oh, hey guys, did you notice this? Or hey, this was, I don't know if everyone remembers the biggest hit in the product was never pulled, and that's still out there. So, it's like treasure hunting. It's like, people like the chase, but also, not all of us are on the run with 2.5 kilos of Fleer Ultra Spider-Man 2017, Ian. So, yeah, it is. Sorry, bad joke. But it is interesting what might take right away and what might need a couple of years to kind of erupt and evolve. Kind of like, a slow build rather than just a big boom. So.
No, it's interesting. I love, especially with artists and the original art sets, them finding a second life and a new appreciation. It's nice.
Absolutely.
It's like Shawshank Redemption. Did terribly when it came out of the cinema. Now it's regarded as a classic.
Right. Yeah. People stumble across it at various times, and sometimes it pulls, and they follow the path. They look into the artist, they start becoming a fan of the set, and it's nice to see the whole thing build.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have one final question. It seems to be that everybody is a Spider-Man fan. Who isn't, right? But with you guys, you are all, particularly to my knowledge, big fans of Spider-Man or big fans of characters very close to Spider-Man storylines. Jason, I remember hearing that you enjoyed the Into the Spider-Verse movie. I wonder if any of you guys had seen the Across the Spider-Verse movie. And a random question, who is your favorite Spider-Man character from Across the Spider-Verse?
Well, I know what mine is.
I think people that have listened to me talk or see me post, I really, I liked Across the Spider-Verse. I thought the animation was kicked up a notch. I think story-wise, the first one is still A+. This one was kind of like Back to the Future Part 2. It's a little bit of a middle piece. But Miguel, Spider-Man 2099 is, I love Oscar Isaac. I would have liked to seen him be more a hero. He was, some people think he was kind of the villain in this. I think he was very just guided and principled in what he believed, and we'll probably see a twist or a change or progression in the third one. But I liked his design. I liked how he was real ferocious, strong, a little bit different power set, conflicted. So yeah, I Spider-Man 2099. Yeah, and then honorable mention the Scarlet Spider. Just that kind of throwback to that brooding 90s era.
Great.
It was the random dinosaur Spider-Man that we saw.
Oh yeah.
I've no idea what that character's called, but I just saw it and I was like, what is going on right now? Yeah, it was properly trippy, that film.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. And
So
yeah, please.
I would say, so, and this is kind of, it goes along with when I see a character, it doesn't have to necessarily be right in my wheelhouse or something that I followed in the past, or when I see a character explode in popularity, it catches my attention. And what I've seen in the last X amount of years with Ghost Spider
Mm.
has been really interesting.
Mm.
Because not only does the character's popularity grow, then other artists are starting to make their version of it and taking their shot, putting their name in the hat. And then from the card sets, all the different Ghost Spiders we've had on the card sets and stuff, and it's one of those characters that's drawing in girls and that want to have a superhero that's cool looking, has that edge, that's also wears ballerina shoes and does all the things Ghost Spider does. So it's okay to have a few. Captain Marvel's another one of those where a strong, powerful chick isn't a bad ideology for some young girls growing up. So Ghost Spider, yeah, the colors, the all the people who are now following, it seems to be something there with that character and its popularity. So that's
she
what
has a great costume. I love. It's kind of
yeah.
it's a little different, the hood, but the color scheme and everything is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I like it.
And I've seen some different ones with the like one artist did the ballerina shoes that the sole of the shoe had the spider in the
Oh,
tread.
wow.
Okay.
And it yeah. So and then one where she was just wearing a hoodie, a white hoodie, and you could, had her thing pulled back and you could see the uniform underneath the regular like t-shirt. Just some different stuff. And it's cool to see, and any character really that's blowing up and bringing more people to to all this. So
Great answer. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think definitely 2099. Spidey 2099.
character.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Not Black Cat because she's not in it, thankfully.
I appreciate the answers. Those are great points, Josh, too, and Jason with the 2099. I kind of led you down that path. I know you've mentioned that character in past episodes too, but yeah, thank you. I just had just a random question about a few different things. Oh, let me circle back to X-Men 97 if you guys
Oh,
don't mind.
please. Yeah.
Blue team or gold team?
Gold.
I like that. I like it.
I'm not sure I can answer the question. I don't think I know enough about who's on which.
Oh, well, allow me. I have a Jim Lee set.
Yep.
Personal. So here we have the blue team on my, well, however you see it.
Yeah.
I have the gold team here. So this was at least.
I've always been a blue team fan.
Yeah, it's going to be the one with Beast and Wolverine, whichever one that is.
Okay,
Yeah.
blue. There are days, but let's not forget honorable mention as Josh mentioned the gold team here. As Storm has been a leader and Bishop is a leader from the future of the team. So
yeah,
I do. Gold team kind of gets overshadowed and doesn't get a lot of love because the blue team is loaded. But anyway.
Yeah, I used to. So gold team for me because of Archangel. When I saw the Angel go to like Archangel and Colossus with the throwing of Wolverine to smash. The first time I saw a Sentinel explode into pieces, and my mind just went when Colossus grabbed Wolverine and launched him.
Was that the speed fastball
special? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then the as we talked about before, the arcade game that
classic.
The X-Men arcade game, yeah, Colossus, his super was the one of the best. It just knocked out a whole area of the screen. Yeah, so you could just spam that thing if you had a little extra life.
Great point. I was there. I remember that. Great point. Yep.
Oh God, so many quarters. So many quarters trying to make it to the end.
You whole stack of them, people behind you queuing
Oh
up,
yeah.
tutting.
I eventually went and bought it on like a retro emulator thing so you could play it on your TV.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
could finally get through to the end because I don't know how many years as a kid, no one ever beat that game. If they say they did, they lied.
You got a couple of grand, I'm sure you can go out and buy the console, buy the actual
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, buy the
Well,
little
No, yeah, buy the actual full-size cab.
Oh
right.
There's a
wow.
whole collector's market for those now.
yes.
Oh
There
yeah.
really is. You get all these
Uh,
retro arcades buying them and opening them up.
Yep.
I remember there was the X-Men arcade game, the Simpsons arcade game, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Mhm.
arcade game.
I
Yep.
spent a lot of time at the Turtles arcade game.
Oh yeah.
A
Absolutely.
lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, see, for me, it was Galaxian, Shinobi,
Okay.
Gauntlet. Do you remember Gauntlet?
Gauntlet.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Classic.
definitely
Now
remember
that was the
Shinobi.
one where you had multiple panels behind it,
Yep.
and then of course you had then the ones with the guns,
Mm,
House of the Dead and things like that.
for sure.
We
Yeah.
were there blasting away at things. Anyway,
Area 51.
we've gone off on quite a tangent there, guys, but I'm appreciating it. It's a good tangent to go on. Joe, I'm going to let you go, not least of which because it's almost 10:30 for me, and I probably need to get some sleep. Jason
One more
probably
glass of
needs to
wine.
go. No, I'm done. I'm done, mate. I'm cooked. Although you feel free to open a bottle.
Yeah.
And Jason's going to probably go downstairs to the Barnes and Noble, see if they've had a restock of some blasters. So
Yes.
no blaster
We'll
love.
see.
But in the meantime, Joe, this has been brilliant. Let's get that date in the diary, like ASAP. Well, maybe not today. We'll do it on Monday when TJ's um, back online as well, and we'll get some time in the diary, and you can come on and talk about the new Fleer throwback set. And I was going to ask how you guys were getting on with the work on the DC license, but we're going to save that for the Fleer throwbacks episode because I'm sure you're mad busy with it, and I'm sure there's loads that you can't tell us. But I'm curious to know how yeah. I'm it's never ending with curiosity about how you guys do this stuff and produce these sets. So I really appreciate your time and your insights, and what you can tell us about this because I know there's a lot of stuff you can't.
Well, thank you, Ian. I'm more than appreciative, honored to be joining you and Jason and Josh here today to have the opportunity to talk about, X-Men and Hall H at Comic-Con and everything all the way around that we got into
One
it.
day I'll make it there. One day.
I was there in 2007 in Hall H
Ooh.
when they did the Iron Man footage and
Wow.
Hulk, and it ended with Kevin Feige saying, we're going to be working on Captain America and Thor, and would y'all like to eventually see an Avengers movie?
Wow.
So it's an experience that
Wow.
everybody should have. And then I
100%.
stayed, in Hall H, and they did a panel for like Resident Evil, 30 Days of Night, and Superbad of all movies, which
Good
was
run.
hilarious. But yeah, everybody should go to San Diego at least one time.
Well, I'm waiting for the invite so I can go and have a little tour around Upper Deck's offices. But
I'm sure the right people.
I'm sure the right people are listening. Anyway, Joe, thank you. Don't hang up as soon as we finish recording because there's something I wanted to tell you afterwards. But in the meantime, until you're here again in only a few weeks' time with TJ, what would you like to tell our erstwhile audience?
Oh, thank you for asking. What a great question. I wanted to let everybody know that until you hear from me again, or until the next episode is released, every episode on the hour, every same bat time, same bat channel, you all please continue to enjoy collecting. Thank you.
You really took a run up on that one. I love it. I appreciate that. Thank you.